Hey everyone, Morgan here. So today I wanted to talk about some of my favorite freeze-dried, like number 10 cans and like pails and just basically food items that would be either like freeze-dried or dehydrated and that you would get from companies. Now you can make a lot of this yourself, as long as you properly preserve them in Mylar bags. And I'm gonna have a blog post on my website this week talking all about Mylar bags, although I have made a couple videos about them. I'll put them down below. I've made videos about the Mylar bags and oxygen absorbers. So I'm gonna show you some of this number 10 cans that I have that I think, people need to think about when it comes to your food storage. And then I'm going to show you a few things that I think you should get in addition to ones that I don't have, which are on my wish list, or something that I've gotten and I don't have yet. Anyway, here we go. Okay, so in addition, I really like these. Of course, I like the ready-made meals. The meals are just ready to go. Like the Mountain House, the Backpackers Pantry, Patriot Supply. Gosh, so many. There's so many ones like this. And then I really like the number 10 cans of things. Augustin, I really love Augustin Farms. I love their variety of foods. They have everything, and I feel like their prices are pretty good. So this is pancake mix. I got the buttermilk pancake mix. Now I also store, the Aunt Jemima Just Add Water. That's right, I store Aunt Jemima. I like Aunt Jemima, okay? I'm gonna start hoarding them as classics. Okay, so I got some pancake mix. I think this was in a 3-pack. It came with like the pancake mix and some, it came with the biscuit mix. I think it was a 3-pack for like 20 bucks or something. So it just kind of came with it. I didn't need the buttermilk, but biscuit mix, I really like this, no leavening. And one thing about a lot of this stuff is that you really got to read the directions on how to actually do this, because sometimes it will say like, you got to add oil or whatever. I like to get ones in which I can just add water. Now, if I have to add oil, that's fine. I store oil. It's not a big deal. But if it's asking me to store some other like perishable items, to put other perishable items in it, sometimes I won't. Or like if it gets really complicated, if it's like a really complicated way, but like this, all you need is water, the biscuit mix, and then baking powder, which I store baking powder, so this wasn't that big of a deal to me. But you just got to read the instructions and make sure that you have the supplies needed in order to reconstitute this stuff. Scrambled egg mix. They also have whole egg mix, and then none of these have actually been opened. Beef stew. Yum. All right, beef stew mix. This is so diced chicken, any meat. You should get the beef, the chicken, sausage. Now the meats, Mountain House, Augustin, doesn't matter where you get it, are a little more expensive, but they're really worth it to have those freeze-dried meats. So yeah, there's ground beef. Got some ground beef there. Cheese blend powder. What? You need that cheese blend. You got to make that mac and cheese. So you gotta have some cheese powder. Let's see, what else do I have? Oh yeah, bread and scone and roll mix. I love my bread, so I wanted those mixes. And then biscuits and gravy from Mountain House. It's pretty much the best thing ever, and you have to have like a bunch of this. Number 10 can is like mandatory, right? And then diced beef. So I got a few freeze-dried meats, which is really nice to have. I really like the Augustin pails as well, like the hard wheat and like the hard oats, or not hard oats, the rolled oats. Now the only things I wouldn't suggest of these is like, they have like the pails of rice and the pail of beans and stuff, but it's so cheap for you to just go out and do that stuff yourself. I think it's a little expensive to buy their pailed rice and beans and stuff. A few things I would still do myself, but the pails alone, they're nice and reusable, so that's why I really like them. Once I'm done with this, I'll just be able to reuse the pail, which is great. Oh, it is really hot in this shed. A couple other things that I would suggest is like powdered butter. I really like the powdered butter. It works really, really well. And then there's other things like from Hoosier Farms. They have a bunch of powdered cheeses. We have the powdered white cheese and powdered yellow cheese from them, or orange cheese, I guess you would call it. And then they have powdered sour cream. There's also powdered buttermilk, powdered milk. Definitely get those things. And then there's, you really want to try to get all that stuff, and definitely the eggs too, you know. So basically what I'm talking about is don't just get the complete meals, but get the stuff that you can actually make other stuff with. And that's what I always suggest anyways, you know, like get the baking supplies, you know, the flour and the sugar and the baking powder and the baking soda and then the yeast and all this other stuff, to where you can make stuff, you know, with all of these supplies. You know, you're not just getting like a full completed product. And also oil. Definitely always store oil. I was trying to combine store and oil together. Store oil, and you can do any type of oil, just as long as you're consistently using it, because oil is technically a fat. It will go rancid over time, but leave it closed. And then if you open it, of course, you're gonna have to use it, you know, within a reasonable amount of time, 6 months, you know, whatever. We use oil all the time, so it's not that big a deal to us. But, you know, you can store Crisco unopened for several years, actually, and it'll still be fine. But once you open Crisco, it won't be good anymore. So if there are fats that you can store, try to store them unopened and in cool, dark places for as long as possible, and they'll stay pretty good. I opened up a Crisco like 5 years later after the expiration date, after the Best Buy date, whatever. And it was perfectly fine. It was untouched and was perfectly usable because it was completely sealed and it was kept in a cool, dark place. So fats can be stored that way. I'm going to have a whole blog post detailing all the fats and the shelf life and things. But with fats, you really do need to rotate them pretty consistently, you know, every 6 months to a year, just because they can go rancid. And then obviously knowing how to render your own fats is a great asset and great skill to know. Okay, a couple other things I would suggest getting would be freeze-dried and or dehydrated fruits and vegetables. Get the fruits and vegetables. Again, those are additives. You know, those are things that in which you don't have, like let's say you don't have any of the canned fruits or vegetables, but you have the freeze-dried stuff. And that freeze-dried stuff will technically last longer than the canned stuff. So get the freeze-dried fruits and vegetables. Those are always good to have on hand. And then they do have powdered honey, which I've never understood the purpose of. I've asked a couple people and nobody said that they've actually tried it yet. So if you have tried powdered honey, let me know what the purpose of that would be, because honey in itself doesn't go bad. So I'm a little confused on the powdered honey aspect of it. But anyway, yeah, so lots of good stuff. Go look on Augustin, and Emergency Essentials has some good stuff. What are the other brands? Lots of good brands. Mountain House has a few number 10 cans of random stuff, but they're mostly complete meals. But anyway, yeah, go look around. You would be surprised the freeze-dried, dehydrated, and powder stuff that's out there. It's pretty cool. And it all has pretty good shelf lives. Some of this stuff will just have, you know, it says on the backs, 10 years. But it could probably last a little bit longer if it's kept in, the best conditions. So, and some of this stuff, it can be a little pricey. What I do is I go and try to find it on Amazon. I'll put it on my wish list. And then I'll come back and look at it in a few days. More often than not, and I've noticed this a lot with Augustin, is the price will drop almost really like a couple days after I've added it to my list. It's pretty crazy. I don't know how, maybe I've just been lucky, but go back to it and frequently look and see if the price has changed. And then when it's at a price, drop that it seems amenable to you, then get it, right? But yeah, there's a lot of good stuff out there. But, adding it to your wish list is just a good general idea of to know, kind of what's out there, get an idea. you know, oh, well, I really want, you know, these things. I want the powdered cheese and the powdered eggs, and I want the, you know, powdered buttermilk and the powdered milk. I want all these things. And so you want to write a list of things that you're consistently kind of buying and then using and rotating, or not, you know, just buying things in bulk and then just storing it, right? So making that list of things that you actually want to have around regularly in freeze-dried or dehydrated or powdered forms is a good idea as well. Thank you all so much for watching. Conquer tomorrow by preparing today. I'll talk to you all later. Bye.